Brought to you direct from Studio 3B at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, the American Hardwood Advisor is your source for trends, tips, and insights into how the building industry has evolved. Join me, Steve Stack, along with guest builders and industry leaders as we talk shop and go in depth on what it takes to be the best of the best. Dive into topics like architecture, industry trends, project plans, historical tools, tricks of the trade, and life's lessons from more than 6 decades of experience in the hardwood lumber business.
Hey, hello folks. Steve Stack, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, coming to you from Studio 3B, and I have a special guest this morning. I don't know how to describe him. We'll let the video and the soundtrack speak for itself with this guy, Benny Baird. Benny, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And you're welcome for me getting you out of the shop for a little bit.
Yeah, for an hour or so. Take
Right?
a little break.
Right? Ladies and gentlemen, Benny Baird, third generation in the Baird clan. And right now, Benny's doing a great job for the company as finish shop manager.
Yes, sir.
Back in the main shop, the main milling shop. Gosh, how many guys you got in that department?
There's probably about 20, 25 of us, I would say. So.
You spend a lot of your day babysitting.
Yeah. No, we're pretty fortunate. We got a lot of good guys that work for us, and honestly, they make my job pretty easy. You know, we put a schedule out, and the molder techs do a pretty good job of making sure the orders are going out in a timely fashion. And you know, I'm just there to kind of oversee and do what I can do to help out.
So folks, I got to give you a little backstory on this kid. And again, he's a young man, he's not a kid, but all the third generation are kids to Stack. Benny, you've done a lot of different things.
Yep.
And you came out of high school, you went a couple different directions, sold some vehicles for a while.
Yep.
A couple different dealerships. Helped your brother Matt out with his tree service business.
Yep.
And then you finally decided to come back to Quarry Road. You worked the sales counter for a while.
Yep.
And then I had the privilege of taking you across the country a couple years.
Yeah.
And doing some traveling with you to the old woodworking show. You've worked our regional shows, our regional home and garden shows, Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and we made a trip to the IBS International Builder Show out to Vegas, and
Yep.
last year down to Orlando, and at some point there, I think Aunt Lori came to me and said, "Hey, you're going to lose Benny." I said,
Yep.
"What do you mean I'm going to lose Benny?" And they said, "He's going back in the shop and run the main milling shop."
Yep.
And I thought, damn. And not only did we work well together, and we
Yeah.
still do,
Yeah.
but we, just like Studio 3B, we had fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
We had fun. And so off you go to the mill shop, and all of a sudden, life changed for you,
Yep.
right? So go back, and how many years has it been since you came back to Quarry Road?
So I came back when I was 20 or 21, so it's been about 5 or 6 years. Like you said, when I graduated high school, I went and helped out my brother Matt with his tree service. He does more of a residential type deal. And then from there, I actually went and helped a local landscape company, RGG. And then I went and ended up selling cars for 2 different dealerships, and ended up coming back here. And as you said, I came into sales when I first started. Got to do some traveling. I think, you know, it was the first 4 months out of the year there. For 2 or 3 years, we were pretty much gone 4 days out of the week until the end of April. And you know, that really taught me a lot, and I got to see a lot of cool things. And then around the time COVID happened, I think,
Yeah.
I was working for my cousin Terry back in the rough mill, And we had some guys that needed to take some time off due to COVID in the finish mill, and that's kind of when the opportunity opened up for me to step in, and just ended up clicking for me. You know, I really enjoy the guys I work with. I got a very good group of gentlemen underneath of me, and we work very well together to make things happen here and do our best to take care of the customer and give them a high quality product.
And you do, and that's another department here at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods that we're fortunate in the employee base that we have overall, but specifically in this case in your finish shop.
Definitely. You know, it's just like right now, you know, I have to step away for an hour and a half, whatever it may be, to come do this, and there's no doubt in my mind that my gentlemen are taking care of business right now and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and things are still rolling. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect.
Okay, so take us through a typical day in the life of Benny Baird here at 7060 Quarry Road. You show up 6 o'clock, 6:30, whatever.
Yeah. So normally show up. All my guys arrive at 7:30. We work 7:30 to 4. I'll get here about 6 o'clock and go down and start getting the machines ready. That may require a setup, or it may require just greasing the machines up and getting them ready to run for the day. From there, my guys will show up, and I mean, it's business till 4 o'clock. We're rolling. We might be running SPLs, special orders, or we might be on stock runs. Right now, this week, we're doing mainly stock, so we sell a ton of finger-jointed prime poplar. It's a paint grade product. Probably one of our more popular trim products, I would say.
One of our leading product groups.
So yeah, I mean, some days I might be on a molder all day, catching or feeding, depending on if I have a guy call off or something like that. Some days I might be bouncing molder to molder, helping guys set up or do whatever I can to keep things moving and make things move in a quicker fashion.
But you work with a couple of different guys in the shop as far as scheduling machines,
Correct.
What product goes on machines.
Yeah.
You coordinate with Terry back
Yep.
in the optimizing line.
Yep.
As far as getting the rough blanks to your shop and taking them through.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces. Ed Berry, he's the gentleman that does all my scheduling for me on the machines, and what a heck of a job he does. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of moving pieces that go. You know, something might happen on Terry's end where he's down for a day or two, and next thing we know, we're getting material for an order that's supposed to ship the following day. Well, you know, here at Baird Brothers, we try to make sure that everything's going out on a timely fashion. We don't want to be holding anybody up. So, I mean, Ed's got to juggle things around. He might have to pull material off of a machine to get an order put in front to get it out on time. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the group of guys I got working with me is truly unbelievable. I mean, Brandon Drewhard, he's a couple years older than me, but when I first came into the finish shop, I owe Brandon, I got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, and you haven't even touched on the grinding room facility.
No, yeah, that's another beast in itself. That was actually the first place I went to work in the finish shop. I forget who was running that when COVID all took place, but that was ultimately what brought me from the rough mill into the finish shop. I ran the grinding room for a couple months, and back then we were grinding everything manually on the hand grinders. And I got talking to Terry, and we started looking at CNC grinders, and I mean, what a change that's been. That has absolutely made things 10 times easier for Roger Ewing, who's now running the grinding room, and what an unbelievable job he does.
So a couple things that, as you were speaking, came to mind. Number one, you worked in the grinding room. You know the importance of that's a strong link in where quality starts.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, head comes out of the grinding room wrong, knives come out wrong, you don't stand a chance on the molder. So, and that's something that CNC's allowed us to do. Our guys up and drawing will draw it, they'll send a CAD drawing down to the CNC, we upload it to the CNC. From there, you probably got about 20 minutes worth of setup of setting the head up where it's supposed to be. Press go, walk away, and I would say 9 out of 10 times that head's coming off that CNC ready to rock and roll. So it kind of takes the human air out of it. Not saying that Roger does a phenomenal job for us. I can honestly say that's one part of the finish shop that I never have to worry about having an issue in.
And folks, so you understand, there are companies out there that is all they do, is produce cutting knives.
Correct.
Right? We have that on site
Yep.
here at Baird's, state of the art,
Yep.
right? To ensure the quality of the products we produce.
Yeah. So when we first started looking at that CNC, we went up. I forget where we went. I believe the gentleman's name was John, but we went and looked at his CNC run, and that was actually what he did. He would you could order custom knife profiles off of him. He would cut them out, send them to you, and then you were ready to rock and roll. Having one on site gives us a lot of ability to, be quicker. We're not ordering knives and waiting. As quick as our guys can draw it up in the engineering room and get it down to us, we're probably looking at a half hour to an hour to make that knife and be ready to roll. That's
funny you mention it in that regard, because recently I had a tour, and you were involved with it.
Yep.
Of a logistics class from one of the local high schools come in, and one of the teachers actually asked me, in the process of touring the grinding room, he says, "What makes you keep this in-house rather than outsourcing it?"
Yeah.
I said, number one, quality.
Yep.
And number two, turnaround.
Yeah.
I said, if there's a mishap and we trash a set of knives,
Yeah.
in a few hours, they can be reproduced.
Yeah, things happen. Luckily, like I said, I got a very good group of guys, so my molder techs don't make big mistakes. I would say maybe I've seen a crash happen 2 or 3 times in the 4 years that I've been down there. But things do happen. So, if we accidentally crash a head or something and destroy knives, we're not sitting in the water with nowhere to go. Simply take everything back into the grinding room. Yeah, we might be down for an hour, but Roger will jump on it and get us running as quick as he can.
So that was one of the two things that came to mind when you were speaking earlier. Secondly, you said that was one of your first jobs when you came into the finish shop.
Yep.
And that, you might not realize it now, but your second generation aunts, uncles, your father, and your grandfather, they wanted you kids to learn the business from front to back.
Yep.
You're the prime example of that. And so now there's when something happens in another department, you understand it because you've been there.
Yep.
You've walked in those boots.
Yeah, and there was, to your point, there was a lot of days, working in the rough mill or working in the grinding room where you're standing there, and days I'd sit there and wonder, man, what the heck am I doing in here? Or what am I doing out here feeding the finger joiner for 5 days straight? But you know what, at the end of the day, it really opened my eyes what it takes to run a company like this, all the things that and like you said, now when I have a sales guy come to me, or maybe even a customer that's upset over something being late or something taking a little longer, or why is your lead time 2 weeks? Why is your lead time 4 weeks? I can sit down and have an honest conversation with them and explain to them, well, it's got to go through the rough mill. We got to make knives for it. We got to get it scheduled on a molder. So yeah, going through the whole business, I think is honestly, I think it's the best thing you can do, especially if you're in my shoes or one of my cousins or something like that. I think that should be a must.
Oh, definitely, and you alluded to it in conversation into one of our next talking points, the grinding room and the CNC grinding machine. I know in the past few months, you and a few other of the family went down to Atlanta for the International Woodworking Fair, IWF,
Yep.
that displays every piece of equipment you can imagine as far as woodworking goes, from the smallest widget to some of the newest molders and planers and the whole gamut. Even Terry's optimizing line, the Wood Eye. And so take us through some of the technologies that are implemented in your process of production.
Yeah, so that was honestly a very cool trip for myself. And I actually, Zach, my older brother, got to come along on that too. And, you know, it's kind of cool to walk through there and just daydream about what we could do in the future. You know, maybe this piece will work, you know, maybe not now, but maybe 10 years from now. I would say as far as technology goes in my building, I would say, I mean, the CNC's got to take the cake, the CNC grinder. I mean, that has totally changed how quickly we can turn around custom knives. As far as for the company, I would say Terry's building is probably the most impressive thing that we have going on as far as technology goes, just with that whole optimizing line. And how quickly he can push lumber through that line.
Don't short sell yourself in your shop, because up front there you have that Onsrud CNC.
Yeah.
You know, and going from making door components on an open head shaper to vacuuming them down on the bed of the CNC and running the program.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fascinating. And, you know, even like that newer Leader Mac we just bought, it's a 12-inch 6-head molder. We're mainly running S4S on it, but we do run a couple profiles on it. But the ability to change that machine over, that has the computer on it and everything, where you're just punching in your values and pressing go and it's moving. And of course it makes errors and you got to check it and make sure everything's all right. But I mean, I can do an S4S changeover in a matter of a minute. So
yeah, but and that goes back to the grinding room. You have your cutting head, and you have your knife set in the head on a setup stand, and it's indexed and ready to go. Right on that machine.
Exactly. So we're doing when we cut a custom profile on that CNC, we're starting every profile 10 millimeters in from the edge of the knife. So theoretically what that allows you to do is you take your head out there. If you know that your profile starts 10 millimeters in from the edge of your knife, you should be able to slap that head on, drop it down, and start rolling. Once again, you got to make adjustments. We run a setup piece, or maybe 2 or 3 setup pieces, depending on how complex the profile is. But yeah, I mean, that's changed the game too. And as we upgrade our molders and get newer molders, I'm sure that'll even become more efficient. But really, it comes down to the guys I got doing it. I mean, they're unbelievable. So
yeah, and it's some of it is job site learned, but here at Baird's, we invest in the guys and send them down to Carolina, down to Molder Tech School, and they go through a process down there, and so they bring back with them an education and a know-how to take advantage of, from the setup stand to the molder, index it in. Let's make sawdust.
Yeah, exactly. So me and Brandon Drewhart got the opportunity to go down to North Carolina and do I think it was a week-long molder setup school. And both of us kind of had, I mean, Brandon more so than myself because he's been doing it a little longer than me, but we pretty much knew the basics of setting a molder up. Brandon, I mean, like I said, I have the utmost respect for him. He can do some things on a molder that I never thought were possible. But that was an eye-opener for me, how to, just the small things that they taught us as far as how you can make your setups quicker. The whole 10 millimeter thing, starting your knives, I'm sure that's industry standard, but I was 21 years old when I went down there. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. So
Right. And talking about your visit, and this leads me into another question that I want to ask you. Visiting Atlanta in the IWF show, and that's like a kid walking into a candy store if you're in the woodworking industry.
Yeah.
And so I've attended it a couple different times. It's ginormous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
But for you and Zach and Terry to walking around, I formed this visual in my head, the three of you walking down an aisleway and one looking one way and one looking the other and one looking ahead at different equipment, and you see this wish list.
Yeah.
And that's important because that sets our direction as a company of, okay, here's our goal. We want that piece of equipment by this date.
Yep.
i.e. Terry's new wood eye.
Yep. Yep.
And that's important. And in stating that, how do you see this company moving forward?
I think the future is very bright for us. When we went down to Atlanta, the one piece of equipment that we were looking for mainly was a piece of equipment to replace our Greenlee double end trim and our Gabbiani, which we're dadoing all of our jams on. The goal was to buy one machine that can do both those jobs, remove those two pieces of equipment, open up some shop floor space.
Streamlining the process.
Yes, definitely. And then, you know, the goal down the road for my building is we're going to move some things around and just try to become more efficient. Right now we're running S4S, we're catching it off the back of the machine, stacking it into a lift that's going out to a warehouse, and then we got to bring it back in to have it sanded. The goal here in the future with opening up this shop space is we're actually going to put a batching system behind the molder that we're running the S4S on. It'll batch at the back of the molder, slide over, and go straight through a sander, and we'll be catching it off the back of the sander, so we're eliminating a process. And the sander right now is kind of a bottleneck for us, so that's one way we're going to become very efficient in that aspect.
Oh yeah, and that's I know you and Terry and your brother Zach and his background before he came back home. He likes digging into that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, Zach and Terry both. They love that kind of thing, and you know, I actually just enjoy sitting there listening to them talk about it and hearing what their plans are for the future down there. And I'm more the type of guy, tell me what you want done, and I'll do my best to go make it happen.
That's very true, and you know, I'm sitting here thinking and listening, and that just didn't start happening, attending IWF. Mm-hmm. That was like your grandfather's highlight of the summer. That was like his summer trip every year. He didn't miss it.
No.
He didn't miss it. And like yourself, you have the customer service background, and like your grandfather, you have your hand on the pulse of a couple different things. Today, what's happening today, and what's happening in the future.
Yeah.
And what do I have to do to make that happen in the future?
Yep,
you
exactly.
know, and your core group, everybody involved, but specifically you and Zach and Terry, and there's importance to that, and there's merit to that, and if we continue to produce the quality hardwood products that we have been known for, mm-hmm. and we come up with it in production in a more efficient, timely manner, and still producing that quality hardwood flooring, interior moldings, interior doors, a couple things happen. We supply our customers with the same quality product. Because we're doing it more efficiently, we can keep our costs down and pass on that product at a value point to our customers, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, we work hard for the company, but in the end, we work hard for our product and our customer.
Exactly. I've told a million people this, and I'll continue to say it. After working in the finish shop and, you know, seeing the product that's coming off the back of the molder, you know, the doors that are being built in the door shop, or, you know, even Jason Hoops building the custom butcher blocks and the arch tops. I mean, that guy's got a full plate as well. I really do feel comfortable putting our product up against anybody in the world.
You know, and in traveling with you for a couple years, I mean, we went from Tampa to Charlotte, up into New England, out to Kansas City, and we were all across the United States for those woodworking shows. And you've heard me say it, and we witnessed it in seeing other companies, that it's easy to say that I will put our hardwood products up against anybody in the United States.
Oh yeah, easily. And you know, I was listening to that the little sit down you had with Terry there the other day, but you guys were more talking about the live sawn white oak flooring that we've been doing a lot of. But something that he said that kind of stuck with me, and it's so true, is we don't run fast and loose.
Right.
We do put a lot of material out the gate, and I think anybody that works with us or, you know, buys off of us knows what we're capable of as far as the volume of material we can get out of here. But at the same point, you know, we're not going to force a bunch of material out of here in a hurry and it not be up to our standard just to get the order or just to get it out the gate, so we don't lose said order. You know, our tolerance, I would say, is 2 to 3 thousandths on any given product. Like you said, Steve, I feel comfortable putting our product up against anybody in the country. And the other thing too, I always stress to people is, you know, we've been family owned and operated for 62 years now.
62 years.
If something does happen to sneak out the gate that's not up to our standard or not up to your standard, we're not going anywhere. We've been in the same spot for 62 years. Call us, come in, you know, I don't care if you're in California. If you get something you're not happy with, we're gonna find a way to make it right for you.
Yes, and that's so true. In that I've over the course of my time here, I've used that same statement, and introducing our company to new customers, and you know, how the customer, how do you know that you're going to take care of me, and if there's a problem, how are you going to take care of me? And I tell people, we've been at 7060 Quarry Road, Canfield, Ohio.
Yep.
Whatever the years were at that point of the conversation, now 62 years, we're not picking the place up and moving. We're going to be here tomorrow. And we've got 3 generations to stand on in making that statement now.
Yeah.
And that's important for customers to have the knowledge and the security of knowing that they're dealing with a family-owned company that's not going anywhere.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think we're here I think we're going to be around a long time. I mean, I would like to say that I have a vision of, you know, my kids and my cousins' kids and even their kids taking over this company some year, and what a dream come true that would be. But honestly, that's one of the coolest things when you get talking to people in the area that have used our product or have bought our product. And you know, the first question you always ask is, how did it look? Are you happy with the product? And I get very few complaints, but the cool thing is when somebody does say they had a problem, the first thing they always say is, I didn't even have to ask what you guys were going to do to fix it. It was, here's what we're going to do to make things right. And you know, that's, in my opinion, how we've always ran the company. It doesn't matter what the issue is, we're going to make sure that we make it right for you guys. And at the end of the day, you're going to be happy with the product inside your home.
You know, and one of the beauties, and Terry has said it about 4 or 5 years ago. He made the statement when we were doing a joint interview, and somebody asked him, well, what kind of products do you make? And rather than going through the roster of moldings, flooring, interior doors, stair components, Terry said, well, pretty much if it's going inside your home and it's made out of wood, we can manufacture it.
Yeah.
And that's a true statement in that the shop is very diverse.
Yeah.
It's very diverse. Big commercial orders.
Yep.
Or the folks coming in that need a custom mantle built. Or I need 2 12-foot sticks of this custom Victorian molding because I'm doing a restoration project. And we have it from the engineering, the creation, to the grinding room, to the motor setup, the tech guys, or to the CNC. And we have a lot of abilities, and we do some pretty custom stuff
Oh yeah.
that don't involve wood. I know you're just finishing up another order for one of our customers. What's the material, the white material that?
AZAC?
No, the high density stuff for
Teflon.
yeah, the Teflon material.
Yeah.
And it's not wood.
No. Yeah. So that's a pretty cool thing we're doing. Eric Heiner's got a client, and I can't remember the name of them, but they're using it in gold mines. But yeah, it comes in 4x4 sheets. It's Teflon, and it can range anywhere from 3/4 of an inch thick all the way up to we've ripped 2-inch sheets of it. But we'll rip it into strips, run it through the molder, and then we cut it into 11 and 7/8 long blocks. And yeah, it's funny. The guys will walk through the shop when we're doing it, and I thought we were a wood company.
Yeah, and it's neat in that you rip it, you run it through the molder, you give it a very slight profile.
Yep.
And then it's cut to the length specified by the company. And like you mentioned, it's used as wear blocks or guides in the mining industry.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I thought we ran casing and base.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. And we see specialty projects like that.
Yeah, and to your point, if we think we can do it, if we think we have the ability to do it, we're going to make it happen, whether it be wood or Teflon for that point.
But in 62 years of experience, and if we take Billy Moss and we take Brandon, we take your father, and we take Eric Heiner from the sales standpoint, we get Terry's input, we get Timmy's input. If they haven't learned anything else from their forefathers, they learn that there's a time when you say no.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And we'll be the first one to recognize that, and we'll say, man, we'd love to, but we can't.
Yeah.
Because we don't belong in that arena.
No, and exactly. And we're not going to agree to something that, to my point about taking an order that we're going to have to rush through and send it out the gate and not be 100% sure of the quality of it. Same thing goes for that. We're not going to take an order that we're not sure we can fulfill to the expectations that we have. But we'll also really push our boundaries and see what we can do to make it work for you.
Oh, we've learned how to do new stuff every day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and when you quit learning, we're not going to be in business very long.
No.
So we look at that and we keep an open mind, and I mean, you've been involved, I've been involved in sit-down conversations in-house here and saying, man, do you think we can pull this off? Do you think we can do it?
Yeah, and it's funny, me and Zach have a thing. I always know he'll be coming down through the shop with a piece of paper and a grin on his face. And I know he's got some crazy idea, or some customer wants some crazy profile, and, oh, come on, we can do it. And 9 times out of 10, we figure it out and we get it done. But yeah.
And that's what I say as far as our capabilities. We don't care whether it's a custom interior door and a panel configuration or custom moldings. I mean, you visit our website, bairdbrothers.com. You go to our custom moldings on the left-hand menu bar. There's 2,800, 3,000 different profiles that we've done over the years, plus our stock profiles. And we say, over a cup of coffee, sitting at a coffee shop, scribble it down on a napkin, give me a little drawing, and let's start it through engineering.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. That's how broad the capabilities are.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about us. You said we have 23 or whatever 100 profiles. We're not stuck to just those profiles. We're not stuck to, here's our stock profiles. If you don't see something you like, sorry. Like you said, bring me a sample, bring me a drawing, bring me anything you got, bring me a picture off of Pinterest, bring me something out of a magazine. Our guys up in engineering do an unbelievable job. We'll draw it up for you, and if we think we can make it, we'll make it happen.
I go back to a set of doors we did a few years ago for a local restaurant down in Columbiana. If I'm not mistaken, they were 10 foot tall and 5 foot wide,
Yeah,
6 foot wide, something like that.
Big enough to where a normal 6'8" door fit in the bottom
Yeah,
corner of it.
Guys didn't move them around in the shop. We had to get a tow motor to move them around.
No, those were big.
And actually, the owner of the restaurant, he came to us with the idea. He says, "Can you guys make these?" And we pulled. Who do we pull in? We pulled JR in, right?
Yep.
From our door department, and had conversation and said, "Okay, we can do it. This is what it's going to cost," and we got the green light on it, and they turned out phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's another cool thing about us. You know, like you said, they come to us with that big door order, and we're sitting there looking at it. You know, that's what I always stress to the sales guys. Come to the guys that, you know, are doing it. Come to the guys that know. Get with Terry. Get with JR. Get with Jason Hoops. Get with myself. Get with Zach. You know, we're gonna be honest with you. We're gonna tell you if we can do it or not. And like I said, 9 times out of 10 we can do it. I mean, I don't think we turn down very many projects. So.
Yeah. So you're not tied by a ball and chain to the shop all the time.
No.
You get to venture out with me, and like I said, we've had a couple great runs. And in our conversation, it's coming to my mind that you've experienced it, I've experienced it. We go to, whether it be a regional home and garden show, or whether it be IWF in Atlanta, the machinery show, or we've experienced it a few times, the International Builder Show in Las Vegas or Orlando. We go with a goal in mind of meeting some new customers. Mm-hmm. But also, going back to your grandfather, keeping your hand on the pulse of what's going on in the industry, and we walk around the shows and we see what other people are doing, what product offerings are out there.
Definitely.
Whether it be wood related or not, because it sets a tone for what we're going to be seeing in the next year or two. Design trends, just like our character grade white oak product line that we've introduced recently and is really getting traction, and just what's going on in the industry. Yeah. The whole construction industry.
Yeah, and that was, you know, another point Terry made on your guys' little conversation was we aren't the first people to do live sawn white oak. I think we do an excellent job at making it, but we're not the first and only people to do it. But to your point, you know, Terry noticed it getting hot, and now we're making it, and we're having a lot of success with it. So yeah, you got to keep your finger on what's going on, and figure out what your competitors are doing and try to stay one step ahead of them.
The shows are, a lot of them are long hours, hard work.
Yeah.
But it's so, not only in meeting customers is it educational for us, but seeing what the rest of the industry's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think one of the coolest experiences I've ever had at a show, and I can't even begin to think how many of them I've had the opportunity to go to with you. But when we were in Orlando here this year, earlier in the year, and that couple walked up, and you know, their face just lit up, and we approached them and we're like, you know, is everything okay? And they're like, oh my God, we just placed this huge order with you guys online yesterday and had never heard of you. And then we round the corner and boom, you guys are in Orlando, Florida at the IBS show. Yeah. And that's so cool to hear and to see, and to think that people all across the country are using us and, you know, using our website and stuff like that. That's very fascinating to me.
Okay, you shared a story, so I'm going to share one of my favorite stories. We were at the Pittsburgh Convention Center, and for the Home and Garden Show down there, typically that falls in March, and so we're down there, and you were working the booth with me that day, and I was engaged in conversation with a gentleman that walked into the booth, and we were having a good conversation, and he expressed his experiences with us over the years, and I said, oh yeah, I said, as a matter of fact, I'm joined by a 3rd generation Baird today, and you come walking around the corner, and I said, Benny, come here. I said, let me introduce you to this gentleman. And I remember him putting his finger on your chest and saying, young man, you have come into something very special. Don't screw it up.
Yeah, yeah, no, I remember that. I think I'll remember that till the day I die. But, you know, I got to give a lot of credit to, well, the first generation. What those guys went through and what, you know, whether it be starting the company, you know, like you've touched on many of times. Some of them were in the service, some were going to school. They didn't have much when they started, but they made it work. And then, you know, look what the second generation has done. They have absolutely turned this thing on and turned it into something very special. And I'm very fortunate for the opportunity I have. I think that the second generation is doing an unbelievable job of listening to the third generation, hearing our ideas, but most importantly, teaching us the business and kind of taking us under their wing. You know, if I have a question, I know I can go to Terry, Tim, my father, Matt, Lord. I can go to anybody in the second generation, and you know, they're never gonna. They might shoo me away in the moment if they're busy or if something's going on, but they're gonna teach me anything I want to know. If I'm willing to learn, if I want to learn something, they're willing to teach me. So I give a lot of credit to those guys. They've done an unbelievable job, and I really look forward to the future. I think that they're going to hand this thing off to us here in the next however many years, however many decades, and we're gonna crank this thing up and be around for a long time.
And they're not afraid to chap you either.
No, and you know what? We all need it sometimes. Family business can be difficult, but it can also be a lot of fun. I enjoy working with family. I get to sit next to my brother every day. We share an office, and you know, it's really enjoyable having a group of family members that all have the same goal in mind. Like you said, sometimes some of us get out of line and we gotta, hey, you know, this is what we're good at, this is what we're gonna do. And that's good, we all need that. So no, like I said, I have the utmost respect for what the second generation has done and is still currently doing, and man, do those guys really work their butt off to have what we have.
Right, very much so, very much so. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it from Mr. Benny Baird, third generation, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods here in Canfield, Ohio. We got a chance with a mentality like that, kid. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're going to make it work. So.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks for stopping back.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, American Hardwood Advisor, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Follow us on the socials. More coming at you.
For all you folks listening, thanks for talking shop with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the American Hardwood Advisor series, give us a like and subscribe. For more tips, projects, and inspiration, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or at BairdBrothers.com. Until next time,